Welcome to the DesignRush podcast. I'm your host, Bianca Mayer. In 2024, SEO challenges content creators to go beyond visibility and foster real connections. With 68% of online interactions starting from search engines, success hinges on high-quality content, user experience, and strategic linking, key factors in Google's ranking algorithm.
I have a strong bias toward SEO. I've been an SEO for 24 years. I love search. It's done wonderful things for my brand. But no, I don't start with search, actually. I start with...
Google's Helpful Content Update prioritizes user-centric content, shifting focus from SEO tactics to relevance and engagement of what's written, enhancing both readability and user interaction.
When you're constructing the content, I do not believe that we should compromise the flow or the topic to the extent that it really hurts the experience of the visitor, because search is not actually about ranking. Search is about...
Marketing expert Andy Crestodina joins us as we explore why effective SEO prioritizes audience needs over keywords. Discover the impact of visual content and how great writing outshines optimization.
So no, I don't go read all the current high-ranking things. I write the best possible page I can possibly make on that topic. It is the exhaustive authority piece on about page best practices or whatever I'm writing. And then, yes, once I'm done, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do 3 or 4 extra steps at the end.
Stay tuned for more, and remember to hit that like and subscribe button for more conversations with industry giants. Andy, once again, a very warm welcome to the DesignRush podcast. We are super excited to have you here with us today. Just welcome.
Thank you for having me, Bianca. I'm excited to be here. This should be fun.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Okay, so I'd like to jump right into the world of content creation and marketing with you, to try and make the most value out of our time with you today. Now, first of all, Andy, when creating new content, right, do you think of SEO first, or do you focus on being, somewhat creative in storytelling first?
Well, I have a strong bias toward SEO. I've been an SEO for 24 years. I love search. It's done wonderful things for my brand. But no, I don't start with search, actually. I start with my audience. I'm very focused on my reader. I care about prospects and clients and being a useful, helpful member of the community. So I first think about the topic, and then I ask myself, what are the best promotion channels for this topic? And frequently it's something that people might be searching for. Sometimes it is definitely not what people are searching for, in which case I look for other channels to promote it. So I'll give you an example. I wrote an article about best practices for an About Us page. People look for that. That's a keyword opportunity. I search optimized that article. One time I wrote an article 27 pictures of marketers' desks. What are their cameras like and their microphones? And nobody is looking for that. It's an unexpected topic, but it's highly visual. It's collaborative. It's got influencers in it. Perfect for social. So there's a topic channel fit, and not everything is a keyword opportunity. So not every topic has an SEO kind of component to it. If it is, I'm all in, highly focused on keywords and semantic SEO. If not, I don't worry about keywords at all. I simply write it and promote it through other channels.
What does that process look like in terms of having to balance the keywords and storytelling and all of that as well?
Well, if it is a keyword opportunity, and you've validated the fact that there's someone looking for this, and you find a potential primary target key phrase, and you've checked to confirm that you do have some chance of ranking for it, one of the early stages here is to think about intent. Does this keyword have information intent? In which case, it's going to be an article. People are just looking for it. It's something you're answering questions. It's educational content. Or is it a keyword with commercial intent? This is going to be a service page. We're going to rank for this. It's a money phrase. People who search, see it, click, land, might be prospects. So every keyword equals intent. And I think that's very, very important starting point for search. When you're constructing the content, I do not believe that we should compromise the flow or the topic to the extent that it really hurts the experience of the visitor. Because search is not actually about ranking. Search is about traffic, and qualified traffic that takes an action, traffic that's engaged. I think that SEO, there's a big problem with SEOs. I think SEOs are too focused on rankings. This is why Google comes out with something called the Google Helpful Content Update. What, as if now you realized content should be helpful? or EEAT. Oh, now you realize that your content should instill trust? It's absurd that these are even topics that SEOs talk about. Why weren't you always focused on being helpful and adding trust and expertise? It's ridiculous. So no, I don't go read all the current high ranking things. I write the best possible page I can possibly make on that topic. It is the exhaustive authority piece on about page best practices or whatever I'm writing. And then, yes, once I'm done, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do 3 or 4 extra steps at the end. Did I answer all the related questions? Did I incorporate all the semantically related phrases? Did I touch on all the subtopics? I'll spend probably an hour spiffing it up to improve its relevance after I've crafted the best piece I possibly can. Bottom line, if you do not make the best piece of content on the internet for your topic, you have no right to rank. You're trying to trick a robot, and that's boring. You should reconsider what you do for a living. I don't know, I'm being blunt, but I feel that pretty strongly.
I absolutely love that you just said all of that because I couldn't agree with you more. It's 100% true. Okay, but just going on to visual content that accompanies that, right? Do you need a designer for every photo that you use in your content? Or, how important are featured visuals in CTRs and, other key content metrics, for instance?
Critical. You simply cannot overstate how visual the internet is. As a general rule, when crafting an article, let's say, service pages too, but maybe to a lower extent, a service page, the visitor has commercial intent. They're considering hiring somebody or buying something. For e-commerce products that are like fashion related, it's going to be a super visual experience. Other things, it's more like spec driven or you're trying to get details. So service pages we'll set aside for a second. Content marketing, that person came from search where they saw 1 million other possible options, or that person came from social where they saw a very crowded, fast flowing social stream, and the back button's right there. Remember the true story in the life of your reader. They're coming from a place where they saw 1 million possible things to click or tap on. You're competing there. So I would try to make your content like about as visual as Instagram, because maybe that's where they came from. Literally, short takeaway, put something of visual interest at every scroll depth. I almost always do this. I just recently, today, actually published a piece that doesn't do that. I wrote it for almost a different purpose. It's sales enablement content. It's designed to be used during the sales process, but I put it out there as a newsletter anyway. But really, except for that, almost everything I do, you would never find an article where you can scroll down and get to just a big block of text. Subheads, bullet lists, bolding, internal links, multiple images, video, contributor quotes with headshots, people up, fill your content with points of view, different perspectives. I never write articles without contributor quotes, almost ever. So no, I love you asked that. Visuals, absolutely critical.
Okay, well, I have to say, that's something that we even at DesignRush are busy implementing as well, and we're trying to be a lot more visual. But just on that topic as well, does that work for phones or desktop as well? Having like a visual something, in between the blocks of text.
Well, there are certain flavors of B2B content where it's sort of pedantic. It's like detailed step-by-step processes, like detailed how-to stuff. Like I write a lot of articles about GA4. Whether or not your visitors are coming on phones or desktop, you can see in 10 seconds. It's the tech overview report in GA4. Go look it up and you'll see it's called device category is the dimension and it'll have desktop, mobile, and tablet. So check for yourself. My visitors I know are almost all on desktop, and so I put detailed screenshots of things like GA4 and like where to click. It's a challenge for some content. Like what is a good visual for this? If your visitors are on phones, like how do you balance this? Where do you get the pictures? Are they meaningful or are they just eye candy there for its own sake? These are content strategy questions. There's not a simple answer, but it's something that we all have to consider.
No, I 100% agree with you. Most of our content is also on desktop as well, but I do know that there's this huge, it's not something new, but a lot of people are prioritizing mobile search, right? So I'm thinking, should we focus more on phones as an industry in B2B, or should we just stick to desktop? What's your opinion on that?
Well, B2B is going to skew a bit more toward desktop. If just generically, if someone shows me their analytics account and they're a B2B brand service provider, I would expect to see probably 70 to 80% desktop users. I would look it up and show them in 10 seconds. On the other hand, content programs that have strong email marketing and social media performance will have more mobile visitors, inevitably. Brands that buy traffic for pay per click should definitely check to see if the mobile visitors to their paid landing pages are converting. I frequently see B2B programs. I'm not a paid marketer, but I've never bought an ad actually. Like, I'm not a great person to ask about that, but I know a lot about analytics and about landing pages. There's a way to build an exploration in GA4 that will show you the conversion rate for visitors in desktop for each landing page. And when I do that for clients, I often see like there's a 0% conversion rate from mobile, from paid. Turn off all of your ads on mobile, and some clients will save $50,000 in 5 minutes. I've seen clients save even more than that. Some people, it's a few $1,000s a month. There's a lot of people who are buying traffic for a device category such as mobile that converts at a 0% rate. It's just a simple 5-minute analytics exercise that can give you huge efficiency gains in your ad spend.
It's really interesting that you say that, actually. And I almost wonder if it doesn't have to do with trust. I don't know. There's something within me personally where, like, if I'm buying something or whatever, I prefer to do that on my desktop. I don't know why. I know it's the same website or whatever that it is on my phone, but for some reason, I feel more secure doing something like that on my desktop for some reason. So I wonder if I might not be the only one. In any case, Andy, in terms of, or when you're aiming to make content stickier, right? What techniques do you find the most effective to boost engagement?
Well, those contributor quotes have several benefits. One of them is definitely engagement. I mean, if you had a contributor quote from someone with another point of view, first of all, you might learn while creating your own content. That's fantastic. I've learned tons of things while writing my own blog post by reaching out to experts. You'll also grow your network. That's a benefit. It's kind of sometimes an ABM play. You can invite your prospects or cold leads to contribute to your content. But as far as engagement, yeah, if you include others in your articles, then when you post that article, you've got a pretense for mentioning them. That's called ego bait, to put it bluntly. And if you put 3 or 4 people in an article and they all get mentioned when you post that thing on LinkedIn and they're going to get notified, I think that this is another way to say this. I'm doing organic influencer marketing. Social has paid an organic, search has paid an organic, influencer marketing has paid an organic. Organic influencer marketing is just like collaboration and friendship. So when you include other people in there, best of all, they're dissenting points of view. Like, they kind of disagree with your points in your article. I love that. I don't just look for people saying yes. I've made assertions in articles, and I've included the people that I know disagree with that because I'm trying to start a conversation here. Makes it much stickier. They're encouraged to share. You're a little bit late. If you post an article and then try to get influencers to see it, you missed your opportunity. Include influencers in the article while you're creating it. People like me automatically say yes to any opportunity to contribute to anything. Why wouldn't we? We all should, right? You're the press if you've got a blog, and and you're a press hit to them. So very few people will decline to give a contributor quote. You just got to give them enough time.
Okay. So Andy, say for instance, we are a company, or there's a company that wants to get more influencer contributors, right? What does that process look like if you've never had any of that on your website before? How do you approach people to trust and be open to then contributing, even though you say that a lot of people should be more open to doing that and they should be doing as much as they can? What about the ones that don't want to? How do you hook them?
Well, a lot of these are going to be people that you already know. You're going to think of them while you're writing, and you're going to reach out. So set those aside. We're talking about expanding your network, people that are not yet in your circle, and how do you connect with them? A lot of it comes down to just the request. How did you ask? So that kind of flattering direct message or LinkedIn message or LinkedIn invite can say, I'm working on a piece. I know you've got a strong perspective on this. I would love to spotlight your subject matter expertise in this piece. Would you be open to sharing a short blurb? Very easy. I'll make it a low lift. Just reply with a couple of sentences. It doesn't sound hard if you kind of, if the invite is considerate. So that's definitely one way that you could do it. There are lots of ways to reach out to people, new people, and those you haven't met yet. But it's not a normal cold email, right? You're just simply offering them value. I mean, if you get an email with the subject line, "I'd like to feature you," you're going to open that email, right? Everyone does. Mostly everyone does.
Okay, so again, just feeding the ego a little bit with that then. Okay, so Andy, could you provide some insights into what type of content, really increases user interaction the most in 2024? Our data shows that people prefer video content. So, we can relate that back to what we were just talking about adding, visual content onto your articles. I mean, should we be prioritizing video now or something like that?
Video, absolutely. There's just no way to overstate how visual the internet is. Video gives you 2 bites at the apple if you're an SEO. So if my article about Us page best practices, if I also make a video summary of that, put it on YouTube, that YouTube video may rank in Google, often much easier and faster than my written form article. So as click-through rates from search go down, that video is also going to protect you because you're aligning with what Google wants to do, driving traffic to another of Alphabet's properties. But I love the question. I mean, so video, yes. But your question also is just like broadly, like what works today? I have discovered, so there's 2 things basically, 2 formats for content that are like 10x or 100x. One is original research, where you publish a tiny study that makes your website the primary source for new information, and you made a soundbite that did not exist yesterday, right? It's like you added to the internet. Other sites will cite you and link to you because you made something new. It's a stat that supports their assertions. Missing statistics. Find and publish and promote missing statistics. Setting that aside, it's a fun time in 2024 to talk about B2B engagement, content engagement, when you have the opportunity for thought leadership. Thought leadership, my definition mostly, I think, is that it's strong assertions. It's taking a stand, planting a flag, coming out for something and against something. Op-ed content, right? How-to content is not necessarily thought leadership. It's just educational. People follow, and you are a leader if you make strong assertions. AI is a fantastic path to doing this now. I'm going to read to you some of my prompts. I'm pulling up my shared prompt library. Put these into ChatGPT and see what it gives you back. It'll give you a bunch of things. Exclude the ones that are boring or that uninteresting, not part of your strategy, that don't fit in your content strategy, and focus on the ones that matter. You might find gold. What are people in industry X afraid to answer? What questions are people in industry X afraid to answer? What false things do people in industry X believe to be true? What topics are super interesting to my persona? You have to give it to the persona first, upload your ICPs, but unlikely to be covered by the big blogs. What counter-narrative opinions on this topic are the least likely to be discussed by bloggers and editors? It will tell you what the big blogs are not covering. Or this one is one of my favorites. What are some relatively mundane, almost trivial topics in industry X that professionals have very strong opinions about? It's hilarious, right? It's like content marketing. Oh, the Oxford comma, it like starts fights in bars. Like people will get as soon as I said Oxford comma, probably every listener just thought, wow, yeah, I got a strong opinion about that. So engagement is ridiculous. You do, right? A lot of people do. So engagement is extremely high on op-ed content, and op-ed content topics are extremely easy to research using ChatGPT.
Okay, well, amazing. That's really, I think, some of the best advice I have personally heard on this podcast so far. Really, so valuable.
Try it. It's fun.
Really, it's fantastic. And there is just so much you can do with AI these days. I mean, everybody's always talking about like, oh yeah, it's going to take our jobs and, use it to write our articles and all of that kind of stuff. But I think people are really missing the bigger picture of how AI can make our lives so much easier in terms of the ideas. You just need to be creative in the way that you use AI, right?
Yeah, use it for research. It's like bias and accuracy and hallucinations. I don't worry about any of that because I'm just using it to help me uncover topics, right? I can use it to do gap analysis on all the content published on my industry. There is no other way to do that. There are no tools that will do that. A human cannot actually go read every industry blog and come back and report back to you like on which topics are rarely covered. It's impossible. But AI is a fantastic tool for gap analysis. You can also give it a specific article and say, you have to, so Bianca, I believe strongly, AI responses are bland until you give it your persona. Have it make a persona, I could share later a persona prompt, or upload your ICPs, ideal client profiles, or whatever personas you have documented, and then talk to it. So once it knows that, you can give it an article and say, what's missing from this article? What are the most important topics I did not cover? What are the top questions for my persona that are not answered on this sales page? Higher conversion rates. I don't use AI to write. I don't think it's a good writer. I'm not a fan. I sort of hate all these ideas like, I wrote 10 blog posts in 10 seconds. They're boring, they're undifferentiated, they're not focused on your audience. I don't know about labor market impact or sociology and the future of, I don't know, there's a ton of, I talk about those questions at bars after work. While I'm working, I try to focus on run experiments and teach people how to use AI for awesome, benefits, productivity gains, or better yet, higher quality content. And I don't know why people wouldn't do that. What's the downside? Just have it give you some ideas. 80% are garbage, 20% are gold. Awesome. You're having a good day.
So just to ask you this then, Andy, first of all, what would you say is the best LLM for you currently then? Are you using ChatGPT?
Yeah, because I'm a content marketer and I'm trying to teach things that anybody can use and make all my content accessible, I try to avoid chasing trends or talking about fancy tools. Mm-hmm. So it's a strategic decision by just saying, I'm going to do everything using ChatGPT. I do use ChatGPT Plus because it allows me to upload files and it can generate charts for me, create for me a heat map matrix that shows the extent to which this sales page, answers my visitors' prioritized top questions. It'll draw you a chart I don't think ChatGPT 3.5 does that. So yes, the other benefit I get by not chasing tools is that I have more time in my day. People send me tools all the time. There's 3 AI startups launching per day. I don't have time to do that. I was in an AI mastermind group where they just talked so much about tools. By the end of the call, I had like 10 tabs in my browser. What am I going to do with that? So I'm teaching you vanilla plain tools. Use whichever one you want. I'm not actually advocating for any of them, but just by using the most popular, simple, accessible one, it hopefully makes this episode more useful. Or if I mentioned some tool that was $800 a month, probably unlikely you'd get as much value.
Yeah, exactly. I have to ask though, Andy, obviously you've been writing and creating content for years now as well. You've got a great career behind your back. So I just want to know, in terms of like within the last year, how much has using AI for this purpose really made your days more productive? Like how much time are you saving a day, do you think?
None. I don't save any time from AI at all. And I'm totally serious. It is not a productivity tool for me. It's added hundreds of hours to my job. I have to update dozens of articles. I have to update the book. I rewrote my book right before AI came out. Now it's out of date. I've had to do hundreds of hours of research, experimentation, creating new presentations, new articles. I've had to completely shift my content strategy. When AI came along, we had to all decide, do you want to become more relevant or less relevant? Because you're not going to stay the same. You're going to go up or down. So I had to invest time. And my conclusion is that it was well worth the time. I have a shared prompt library that my team can use, and it saves them time to create that beautifully crafted masterpiece of a prompt. These prompts are sometimes very, very detailed. It took me maybe weeks of dialing it in, tuning it to make it, to get the best performance. But this might sound strange. I have no expectations for AI saving me time. I think that many of the methods are very quick, but the reason I'm using them isn't productivity. It's to create something better, because in the end, 10x content gets 100x results. always make the best thing you can. You're trying to make something that's memorable, that keeps you top of mind. So, something that gets lots of traction. Expectations are high. Competition is fierce. So the best use for AI, I think, is to make something that's even that pushes quality up even 10%. That's a huge gain.
Okay, I love that, because a lot of people, you just see all of these headlines going, AI is saving me this much time. I'm able to do 3 hours of work a day now and go away and all of that. It's just crazy. I actually really love this take. And I think it's very interesting for sure. Just for interest's sake, Andy, what is the latest prompt that you used?
Latest prompt that I used?
Yeah.
Fun. That's a really fun question. I'm going to go back and look. When I meet new clients and friends and prospects that want help, I often use I start by asking them briefly about their persona. Who buys from you? What's their job title? What's their company size, company industry? What are their goals? What are their responsibilities? What are their hope? And then I write a prompt that says that, build me a persona for a job title, company industry, company size, geography, goals, responsibilities. And then at the bottom of the prompt, it says, list their hopes and dreams, their fears and concerns, their emotional triggers, and their decision criteria for selecting a company like this. I put in their company category. Now it gives me a prompt and we look at it together, and it's inaccurate, so we fix it, or it's close enough and we'll use it. Now I can use AI to validate their content strategy, to audit their homepage, to write calls to action. So it's not really possible for me to do, it's efficient way to do research on an audience. So I use those a lot. Apparently I was doing AI last night with my 7-year-old boy, and we were making pictures of cute monsters. They're adorable. I'll share one later if you'd like.
Yes, please.
I led a webinar, or not a webinar, I led an in-person event yesterday morning with a bunch of e-commerce companies. And I was uploading full page screenshots of their product detail pages and having AI recommend more detailed product descriptions. I do that a lot. Like get a browser extension called Go Full Page, or any browser extension that gives you full page screenshots. Then you can upload that full page screenshot into the AI out in the persona conversation and talk to it about the page. What's it missing? Could this page do a better job leveraging cognitive biases? Or, is this page, in maximizing trust or clarity? Or do these subheads, could they be more specific? Or there's 100 things, right? I have also very, very detailed prompts for auditing web pages, but you have to do that. Give it the persona first and then upload screenshots. Tons, I'm looking at them. Tons of my recent ChatGPT adventures were exactly that.
Okay, so I have to ask you before we move on, just one of the last things on prompts and all that. When you say set up a persona, right? What does that look like to you before you start doing that?
Well, I was way too late, but I'm working with Heinz Marketing now, and they're like a B2B sales marketing alignment agency. This is so fun. They're really, really interesting. That was kind of a gap in my knowledge. So I actually finally have really nice ideal client profiles. And I can just upload that. They're battle tested. My strategists have worked with them. Like we've had meetings, and I know that they're accurate. So I can just upload that. But that persona prompt, if you do that first, build me a persona of a job title, company size, company industry, geography, blah, blah, blah. I'll share a persona prompt. And it's literally like, until you do that, all responses from AI are, taste like water. It does not know your audience. It would be weird if it was good. Every strategist knows, every digital strategist knows that it's all about the audience. So then why do people expect AI to give good responses when AI doesn't yet know about your audience? Yeah. So once you have that, you can just say give me a list of this persona's prioritized information needs and the extent to which all of my art, give it a spreadsheet of everything you've ever written, or export from GA4 the title tags of all of your blog articles. Tell me the extent, which topics have I never covered on my blog, but my audience would love. Or you can upload a GA4 report that has all of your blog titles along with the source medium next to it. It will tell me which of my articles did the best on search versus the best on social. Give me 4 article ideas that would work well for my persona, that would perform well in search, or that would perform well in social. And, half of them are terrible ideas. 2 of them are great ideas. It's really fun. It is actually super productive and efficient. If I say, run a semantic distance analysis on every article I've ever written, inferring topics from my title tags, I need a data scientist to do that. But ChatGPT did it for me in 3 minutes, less, 3 minutes. It made me a visual after doing semantic distance analysis, showing me all the subtopics that I have never covered on my blog. That is not really possible to do without, a research team and a Tableau account or a bunch of data nerds. But ChatGPT can do it for you in minutes.
I have to say, Andy, it is so refreshing to have a conversation about AI where you're actually talking about the much bigger picture of what we can actually do with it, right? I think a lot of people are on this sort of negative bandwagon, not necessarily without any reason. Of course, there are other darker sides to AI that must be discussed,
Sure.
Of course. But yeah, absolutely. I think this is a highly interesting conversation.
Or they drank the Kool-Aid and they just think it's like a miracle, and they're acting like it can do, they can type 8 words and it will do their job. There are no tools that you can type 8 words and it'll do your whole job for you. That's an absurd expectation. So yeah, it's a good point.
I do get what you're saying, and I think people are so caught up in limiting themselves and AI actually in what it's capable of doing and helping you with, that this is extremely interesting to explore. I have to say thank you so much for those insights on AI. Really, it's eye-opening. I personally haven't even thought about it as much, to be honest with you, so it's fantastic. Okay, now Andy, just moving on a little bit. I know that you mentioned something about, some of the changes that you've made, this year. Now, I'm wondering, what content creation strategy changes have you made in 2024 thus far?
So I'd do a bunch of calls with clients and talk to friends and then have an idea for a topic. And pretty soon I'm writing a topic like how to use, AI to improve your LinkedIn profile. Fun topic. I don't know. Sounds interesting. I enjoyed writing it. It's a very, very detailed piece. But what does that have to do with my sales pipeline? Very little. Like many content strategists, I was not thinking deeply about the funnel. I was not writing content that's useful during the sales process. Lots of top of funnel stuff. And it's effective. But if I calculated in the end, how many page views or article views I needed to generate one lead, the number was extremely high. This is an embarrassing number, but I get leads. We have lots of leads, and this is an $8 million, 55-person digital agency focused on websites that does no advertising, never gated any articles, never sent a cold email, never done any outbound outreach, nothing. We 100% organic inbound strategy. So we are successful, but this number is still embarrassing. We have 40,000 page views per lead. I need 40,000 people to really, it's absurd. What am I doing in this? It's so now I'm finally writing articles, 2024, B2B, this is an initiative we should all embrace. In fact, do this before you do any other top of funnel anything. Write the articles that answer your prospects' questions and address your prospects' objections, and publish those first, and then send those to clients after a sales call, often during a sales call. Put it in the meeting chat, right? All these meetings are virtual now. Or better yet, build a nurture campaign to put your most informative, persuasive, compelling, memorable articles to go out in a series after you send a proposal. I never had a nurture. I never did a drip at all. So I've never done I don't have marketing automation. I just have this disarmingly direct, super helpful things published for 17 years. So I'm going to keep doing that, and I enjoy it, and talking about persona prompts is fun. But I'm also now writing articles that are supportive of my answers to prospects' questions during sales, and I'm using them for sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So actually, Nick brought up a pretty good question here. He's asking, should we be creating content around clients' FAQs? Um, or objections in the sales process? Is that the bottom funnel content of 2024, would you say?
Exactly. Yeah. Case studies are maybe the best example because it answers an important question that prospects have. The case study should answer questions and supply evidence to support the answers. But no, so I'll give you an example. I've been in 1 million sales meetings for clients that need websites. I don't know about 1 million, but several times a week for decades. And people say like, well, what should I be thinking about here for my website project? And I rattle off this list. Your website needs to rank in search engines, convert visitors into leads, be accessible to people with disabilities, conform to privacy laws, load quickly, integrate with your current systems, be easy to update, have results that are easy to measure. I don't know, there's like this list, right? And I said that list hundreds of times. It wasn't until like 2 weeks ago I wrote that article. Why did I wait to write that article? Right? I answered the question. I did what I recommend against. I answered the question 100 times in meetings without ever answering the question with content. One reason why this is a magical approach is that there's a buying committee. Heinz Marketing talks about this. It's not a one buyer. In fact, the person you're talking to may already be sold. They're like they just need to get some people on board so they can sign your proposal. But I don't meet everybody. I don't meet the whole buying committee. And my prospect is not the perfect conduit for this information. That list I mentioned, I said it too fast for them to even write down. But if I give them the article, that article is a better vehicle for transmitting my best advice there to make them feel informed and confident enough to hire us that they can pass to other people on their team. Those are just some of the huge benefits of bottom of funnel sales enablement content.
Andy, in your view, I'm sure you're going to say very critical, but how critical would you say is brand voice and tonality in B2B content? And how can, a misstep in tone really impact sales engagements and traffic, would you say?
I might have a counterintuitive position here. If you go to Google Analytics, but I'll say first, I know lots of content strategists, and I'm friends with lots of content strategists, and I've seen lots of content strategy deliverables where they do an audit of a website and they confirm or they identify changes in tone or gap or point of view across pages, which makes sense. Any marketer that sees that will say, we need to be consistent in our brand voice. And that is true. But here's the counterpoint. If you go look at Google Analytics and click on explorations and make a path exploration, it is not that likely that your visitors are seeing all these different things. Everyone should know what the typical path is, what the most common path is for a visitor on their website. Mm-hmm. This is fundamental B2B lead generation, website conversion marketing. If your website were a city, there'd be a highway flowing through it. Where is the highway? You need to know that. When you see that, you'll realize that most people are only touching 2, 3, 4 URLs. And if you watch screen recordings, Hotjar or similar tools, to see what people are doing on those, they're moving very quickly. Maybe 25% of the words on these pages are getting read. I'm not saying it's unimportant, but I think we should sort of it's like similar to the power of visuals. I wouldn't prioritize a giant website audit that confirms that the tone of voice and brand voice is consistent across 40 URLs. What I would do is look at analytics to see what are the top URLs for the pages that have the strongest commercial intent, people who are considering your services, and just work super hard on that page to make sure it answers questions, addresses objections, and supports your answers with evidence. Mm-hmm. Adding evidence to your key pages, adding testimonials, case studies, logos, awards, memberships to the key pages where the most effective websites emulate a sales conversation. Making that page a better emulation of a sales conversation with the top rep with your strongest proof points will make you more money faster than auditing your entire site of 100 pages to see if the brand voice is slightly consistent way over there. That's how I think about it.
Okay, well, that's extremely valuable as well. Thank you so much for that, Andy. Now, just let me ask you this. Would you recommend changing a brand's voice, at any point in the content journey to really deepen engagement? Or should consistency be the focus, would you say?
Um, the thing I worry about when I look at language and I think about brand and voice and copywriting is not is mostly I'm looking for clarity. I was talking to a client yesterday. Their site's going live soon. I was going through all the, we were clicking through almost every page and looking closely. And my feedback was frequently, the subhead at this scroll depth is very clever, but it's unclear. Or the text in this paragraph could have been written by anybody. There's nothing that's actually specific to you. This assertion is unsupported with evidence. Do you have any numbers or data that would back this up? And block by block, page by page, it all got a little bit stronger. It all got a little more clear. It all got a little more specific. One way to think about this, and I know I'm kind of like, I don't mean to gloss over brand voice, but what I believe to be successful is the extent to which the messaging aligns with their information needs. If they don't care, you don't need to talk about it, right? Unless it's a challenger message, which also can be effective. But just look for specificity. Could that text be more specific? Could it be more specific to you? Or could anybody write that? I'm on homepages all the time, even homepages, where you look at it and scan down and you say, any company could have written this. This could have been, regardless of brand voice, a startup born yesterday could have written this same page, even though it's for a business that's been around for 50 years. Put people, put your faces of your team, put evidence, statistics, anything, any kind of company logos or awards, answer top sales questions, address objections, make sure there's clear, specific calls to action, paths toward conversion. Don't split up these pages into 4 different thin pages, make them all one strong, tall, detailed, comprehensive page. This is conversion optimization from my point of view. Yes, on brand, but what the visitor cares about isn't your brand voice, it's getting their questions answered.
Okay. Now, in terms of being specific versus broad, right? What is your opinion on a website having only one core business and sticking to it, or, widening its service offerings as it grows? How do you market the latter to achieve, great popularity and remain focused in terms of, topicality with Google then?
Yeah. Well, if your company does 4 things and you have you should have a page for each. So step 1 is don't make a page called services with all of your services listed there. Or if you do, make sure you also have a page for each service and that those pages are optimized to rank for the name of that service. So we'll do that first. Now, looking at these pages, these are like, if you're successful, they're entry points into your website. Now, look at that page as if it's the entry point. In other words, your visitor just skipped your homepage. Is there any information that they just hopped past and they should see? The homepage might have client logos and years in business and an amazing quote from your team and a video, but this person entered at your service page. So you need to build up these pages. Think of them as landing pages. In other words, your homepage is just one of many landing pages. And go look in GA4, it's your engagement landing pages report, and you can see how likely these visitors are to start there. So we have to work much harder on these pages. First of all, you have to have a URL because Google does not rank websites. Google has never ranked a website. Google only ranks web pages. So you need a page for each thing. And each of those pages should, yes, be search optimized, but also conversion optimized, checking all the normal boxes that we just mentioned for the sake of conversion.
Mm-hmm. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that, although, someone saying that you should treat every single page as if it's a landing page. And I think that is one of the best pieces of advice I think I've ever heard in my life. Okay, so Andy, what strategic elements would you say really contribute to, successful marketing campaigns today?
Well, empathy is the game. So this thing has to be of interest to your audience. As I said, I'm now a huge lover of this sales enablement content idea. So start optimizing from the bottom of the funnel. So fix your sales pages first before you do more content marketing. when you're into content marketing, write sales enablement content first before you write top of funnel content. And so now you've prioritized. It's a problem with digital, actually, Bianca, is that you could do so many things. This marketer is waking up right now and they're slaving over a PowerPoint file for the sales team, or they're scheduling something for TikTok. Everything looks like it's of equal priority, right? Until you slow down and ask, like, which of these actions is most likely to affect bottom line business outcomes? And so properly, we should all be focused on the very bottom of the funnel first. In fact, just go look at your top pages on your website and go work on those. There's visitors on them right now. All of us, there's visitors on our websites right now. So is that form confusing, or is there a call to action, or are these subheads specific, or does that answer every sales question, or did you miss is the best piece of evidence on your website buried deep in a PDF case study that no one ever sees? Move that onto the homepage. Okay, so these are strategies that make sense. They're prioritized. But for top of funnel, you've got, for content strategy, document your content marketing mission statement, what you publish, how often you publish, who's it for, what's the benefit. Improve your email sign-up calls to action. Now every visitor to your articles is worth more money, or is worth more to you because they're converting into subscribers at a higher rate. Prioritize video, prioritize original research, prioritize strong opinion, create highly formatted, highly visual content. It's tough to answer questions like yours because there's I was going to say 11 things. There's actually way more. There's maybe 100 things, but start at the bottom, I guess, is my big takeaway.
So just to counter that a little bit, right? What we know is that most B2B content should be written, as businesses talk directly to consumers. So what do you think about that?
Well, Ann Handley and many of the great content marketers that we've all learned from would say, write as if you're writing for one person. This is the point about voice here for sure, right? And you should be talking to her about it. You should probably, have her on. But Ann Handley wrote Everybody Writes. It's in its second edition. It's a huge upgrade from the previous edition. Highly recommended. It goes into a lot of these details. But yeah, write to them. It's a conversation. Write as if you're not only are you writing for one person, but you're sort of writing as if in her voice, it's like an email. Like you're writing like you're in their inbox. It's that authentic. It's that bold and direct. It's that forthright. It's very unusual. It's hard to do because when people get into writing mode and their fingers move toward the keyboard, they start, their brain turns into like this grad student where they just, can't help but make everything super wordy. That's not how we interact with humans normally. So try to just be, speak directly to them. And a casual, forthright tone might be the most effective.
Yeah, okay. Nick is saying that we did invite Anne to the podcast, so we'll see if maybe you can put a good word in there for us, Andy.
I'm a long-time Anne fan. Okay. If anyone is not on her email, her fortnightly email, I have a bi-weekly email. She has a fortnightly email, so they're same meaning, but she's just so much more adorbs than me. I highly recommend getting on it. It's like you're going to get an email Sunday morning and you're going to see what a great email marketing piece looks like.
Okay, fantastic. I will definitely sign up for that personally, for sure. Okay, so Andy, we're going to start wrapping up soon, but I do have a couple of more questions for you. Now, I know that you were part of, the AI Marketing Masterclass, Renegade Marketers Unite, that was, where you discussed how AI is transforming marketing as we know it. Now, can you provide us with some of the key highlights that you were discussing during that masterclass, please?
Well, we've touched on some of my favorite tips, but broadly, I'd say there's 3 uses for AI for marketing. One is to train it to be like your audience. Now it's got your persona. You can talk to it you have a synthetic member of your audience, breathtakingly helpful. You can talk to it about anything. How much money would you pay? What do you search for? What would you click on? What are your unmet information needs generally? What do you need to see on this page? The second thing is to train it to be like us, to train it to be you and write in your brand voice, which I'm not doing myself, but I have experimented with and found to be effective. You take like 30 or 50 of your best articles and copy and paste them into a giant PDF or a series of PDFs and then upload them to AI and say, to summarize this tone of voice, this brand voice, this copywriting style. And then it does. And that almost it'll make a style guide. It'll make you a style guide based on that. And then then give it an outline, for example, probably copied and pasted from the persona conversation, and have it write an article in your voice. So that's use 2. Train it to be like the audience, train it to be like you. Use 3, I mentioned already also, which is to give it data and have it process data for you. Give it all of your social media performance, give it all of your Google Search Console reports, give it anything you've got from any SEO tool or wherever, and just say, look for correlations. Find me correlations between this and this and this, or draw me a chart about this, or suggest what would work well based on this data. So in all those cases, I'm just doing a lot more prepping and priming of the tool than others might be doing, but that's how I'm getting the best results from AI.
So I just want to ask something now. We're also pivoting the conversation a little bit now, but I want to know what your advice is on how businesses can actually get visitors to click on, say, for instance, like the related articles on your webpage, right? So to get them to actually want to browse more and click more. I mean, there must be some sort of a specific psychology that's behind that, right? To encourage your readers to click and stay on your webpage. And I'm wondering what that is.
I love this question. I actually set up, I have event tracking set up on my GA4 account to track clicks on related articles. There's lots of us use tools that will automatically pick related articles. If you were trying to maximize the performance of the related articles block at the bottom, a couple things you can do. One, I mean, I've never tried it, but media sites, news apps do a good job of putting these throughout. So it's like an inline CTA appears partway down. I'm sure that would work. But if you want to maximize click-through rates, what you're looking for is the headlines that have the highest click-through rates. So you can just go get your social media data and see which of these has the highest engagement or which of these got the most traction. Articles that worked in social worked in a hyper-competitive context, and therefore they're very likely to work in other contexts because they aligned with the psychology of your audience. So use data to find the headlines that have the high click-through rates and use those articles with those headlines as the related articles. It's kind of obvious. I'm just suggesting use data, but there's probably other things, make sure they're visual, make sure that there's thumbnail images for the featured image, make sure those are clickable. But again, the top performers are not just 10x, they're probably 100x. So whatever that, and it's probably not going to be your search optimized article headlines. It might be your social media article headlines. Like, this is the one thing you need to know, or this is the 3 things no one talks about related to AI. Like those headlines have high click-through rates. I could list the tactics to increase click-through rates from headlines, but you don't need that here. If you have data, just go grab those and use those as the related articles.
Mm-hmm. I just have to say a shout out to our SEO director, Robin, because he does similar things for us here at DesignRush as well. So obviously he's on the right track too. Okay.
And it's for SEO too, because if the person clicks on that, they're not hitting the back button to go to Google. You're sending a positive interaction signal to Google by getting your visitor to stay or to go deeper.
We know that Orbit Media is currently featured on, B2B marketplaces. Now, can you tell me the benefits that you've seen from being on these types of listings?
Leads. So what happens? We haven't said it in so many words, but this is our job: is to pretend to be the audience, pretend to be your prospect. Where are they? What's the true story in the life? There's a true story in the life of every one of your prospects. You got to know that and imagine their experience. They're not, they're in different places. They're doing different things. The internet usage is chaotic, but some of these people are going to land in places where there are options for help. Mm-hmm. If you are not present there, then you have forfeited that part of the battle to someone else to win. So it's just be everywhere, because especially a lot of these pages rank. I mean, if you go search for help as if you're your prospect and you see a marketplace there, what you're just gonna give up on that? Go click on that. Your visitor would. What do they see? Are you present there? If not, like, who's there? Click on that. That's what your visitor is going to see. Is it a review site? Is it a directory? Is there a link? Do they click on that link and land on the company's website? Click on it. Follow that person's, pretend to be that person. Set a timer, 5 minutes a day. Pretend to be your audience. And you're going to find that they're present all over the place. They're listening to shows, they're in social streams, they're in search results pages. So yes, they are on marketplaces. So you have only two choices. It's to be present in that marketplace, or forfeit that battle to your competitors. And check analytics. You can see the conversion rates from traffic from these sources, and they're some of our best sources for leads.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. Where can people go to find out more tips and tricks from you? Because I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be asking that question to themselves by now.
I'm pretty active. I mean, my original articles are live on my site first, orbitmedia.com, and there's a blog there, and I write that article. I write, our newsletters every other week. I've never sent a purely promotional email. Everything that you get there is just a newsletter, and you're only going to get it once every 2 weeks. LinkedIn would be my best social network. I have a LinkedIn newsletter as well. That's weekly. Anyone's welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. The blue button says follow, but if you hit the 3 dots, you can connect with me directly if you want to chat or ask me a question. I'd love to help if I can. Very active on YouTube these days. The book is on Amazon. It's called Content Chemistry. And then I just try to be a helpful, useful internet citizen. So connect with me wherever you find me.
Well, I think you really are a very helpful and useful internet citizen, I promise you. Andy, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been an absolute pleasure and one of the more exciting episodes that we've had. So thank you so much, really.
I enjoyed it. Thank you, Bianca. This was fun.
And that's a wrap on our insightful conversation with Andy Crestodina. If your project could benefit from a top-tier digital agency's expertise, look no further. Head to designrush.com/marketplace. Our carefully curated selection of agencies is equipped to help you with everything from marketing to web design and bring your vision to life. Again, I'm your host, Bianca Mayer, reminding you to hit that like and subscribe button for more talks with industry leaders. Stay curious and join us for the next episode.